Hey everyone, we are back again live for the Ampt live stream. I'm Jeremy Daly. I am the CEO and one of the co-founders over here at Ampt. If you're not familiar with Ampt, well, like the website says, we let you go from code to fully managed AWS workloads in just seconds. Basically, we are a service where we deploy what we call Ampt environments to AWS accounts. And then when you deploy code to those accounts, it does what we call runtime introspection or infrastructure from code. It's basically a self-provisioning runtime that'll go ahead and actually configure the environment to support your app. And then with our Ampt orchestration service, we have things like centralized secrets management, automatic account provisioning, all kinds of really great things. Check out the website, learn more, and we can do some pretty cool things, I think, with your different AWS workloads. And another really important point too that we try to make is Ampt is great for those little peripheral things. Maybe you've got a client portal you need to run. Maybe you've got a marketing automation service or one small subset of a marketing automation service. You want to run that. You want the isolation. You want the workflows that you get with Ampt, which we'll look at a little bit more today. It's some pretty cool stuff. So anyways, it's a really great way for you to isolate workloads, gives you a super amazing developer experience, at least we think so, and our customers say so as well. We do have some amazing case studies that you can come and watch or read through. There's some videos in there as well if you want to watch those. But today, I want to talk about Astro, astro.build. Here, let's see. Okay, so Astro, if you're not familiar with Astro, you really should be, especially if you're building dynamic applications in the cloud or dynamic websites, API routes. There's a bunch of really cool things you can do. I love this framework. You know, I'm a big fan of Hono, huge fan of Hono for a lot of the back-end stuff. You can do backend stuff with Astro as well. It does routing and some of these other things that you can do API routes and endpoints and things like that. But if you're really looking for everything from just building static pages to mixing them with non-static pages and so forth, and then having just the ability to the plugins or the adapter ecosystem here is absolutely amazing. And I do apologize. I probably am going to cough a couple of times. I still have that dry cough. I had a cold for 2 weeks and it wouldn't go away. So if I do cough, apologies for that. But anyways, all right, let's get back into Astro. So how do we get started with this? Right, let's just start right from the basics. We're going to go to the documentation here, and we'll go through a bunch of different things that you can do. So let's go to installation first. So we have a template for this on Ampt. So if you do want to just use the Ampt template to get started and all this stuff is configured for you. But I do want to show you how you can basically migrate an existing app. If you have an Astro app already or an Astro project already, and you want to go ahead and run that on Ampt, you can do that pretty easily too. And so I do know we're live on all the different platforms this week as well. So if you're on Twitch or YouTube or what else, LinkedIn or Twitter, feel free to jump on and comment. Would love to hear your feedback or maybe answer your questions or so forth. All right. So basically, in order to install, let's just start by basically installing a brand new Astro app. So nothing to do with Ampt. This is just Astro. So I'm going to jump over to Visual Studio Code here. It's not what I wanted to do. Hide that. We'll open up the terminal. And then let's go into my git/sandbox here. And then we'll make a new directory and we'll call this Astro demo. It doesn't exist. Good. And then we'll cd into Astro demo like this, and then we'll jump into that for the code window. Okay, so we are in our Astro demo here, and let's see if we can have both of these side by side so we can see it. Let's see how good their mobile is. Oh, pretty good. Okay, just like that. Okay, and I'll move this over a little bit so we can see it. All right, open up our terminal here with J. Okay, so it says all we gotta do is run this. So let's do it. It also says we have to be on the right version of Node. I think I'm on, oops, NVM version. Yeah, I'm on 18. So actually I'll do NVM use v20. All right, just for the heck of it. Okay, so now we want to run this command, create Astro. So it's just going to create a brand new Astro. And by the way, the CLI for this is awesome too. Like like every little bit of this has gone really, really well, or really interesting. All right, where do we want to create our project? So we're just going to create it in the main directory here. So we'll just do that. Let's include some sample files. Do we want to write TypeScript? I mean, do we plan to write TypeScript? If it said, do you want to write TypeScript? I'd probably say no. But unfortunately, yes, we'll plan to. How strict should it be? Strict sounds good to me. Install dependencies, we definitely want that. We'll skip out on the Git repository for now. So this will go ahead and generate some files for us, which I could actually show you over here. So these files are being generated. So this will do a couple of things. This creates the tsconfig file for us here. It creates an Astro config file. We'll look at this more in a minute. Get our package.json file here, which we can go in. We'll clean some of this stuff up in a second. But all right. One of the things is that when you hold on. Okay, so good luck out there, astronaut. Great. Okay, so we're built, right? So we got this. So we got this running here. We do have this tsconfig error there, and that is because we put it in the same directory. We have it in the same directory here. You can put in a subdirectory if you want to, and then if we do that, we just need to make sure we exclude. Let's see, probably node dist. Yep, and what else do we want to exclude here? Let's exclude the astro astro.config.mjs and see if that does any good. Okay, good. So that's all cleared up. Don't think if we do some includes, it might. We'll worry about that when we come to it. Okay, so we got a tsconfig all set to go. All right, we can clear this out like that. All right, and so now, pardon me, it's flipping out on me. Okay, I think it's the cable. I don't think it's the actual. Yeah, see, it's jumping a little bit. Anyways, apologies for that. Hopefully it will stabilize and not keep flickering on us, because that is very annoying. Let me try one more thing here. Sorry, everyone. Don't know why. Okay. How's that? Is that good? All right, we'll see how that goes. All right, anyways, so now we've got this set up here, and then all we have to do is start Astro. So we just go in here and we just do npm run dev like this, and this will go ahead and run the Astro dev thing for us. We can click on this, and we now have, oops, open this up. We now have, looks very big, we now have a Astro app up and running locally. Pretty cool, right? So we can, again, you can go ahead and also, we'll get into this a little bit, but basically, it uses a file-based routing system. So anything that's in this pages directory with this .astro will get will be built as a page. Is this still flickering on me? Because it's driving me nuts. So hold on one second. All right, maybe it's just me. Okay, so anyways, the way that Astro works, and we can get a little bit deeper into this, but I kind of want to show some of the other things that you can do. It's definitely flickering on me, isn't it? All right, hold on one second. Let's see if I can. See if we can fix this here. Okay, well, let's see how this goes. Okay, so the way that this works is if we go back to this page here, you got this welcome to Astro. You see that it says welcome to Astro there as well. But this is the layout, the layout, right? Which is basically you can create your own, your own templates basically that you can use, that it can be reused and so forth. And then there's just this simple slot, I guess, element that you throw in there, and then anything you place, if you look at this, anything that is wrapped within this will get loaded into that slot. So similar to functional components, anything like that, right? So super easy, or should be straightforward, right? Basic. I think you've probably seen this other other ways. And then you've got props. So anything you want to pass in as a property, you can do that, which we see here where you say title equals welcome to Astro. If you wanted to have something else like, I don't know, we'll call it test, say, this is a test like this. We're going to get an error here because it's not defined. So if we go into our layout and we create a new thing called test here and make this a string, and then we pull test in from props, then down here, just above this, we can say, we'll do an h1 tag, and we'll call this, what did I call it? Test, like that. Okay, so now we should have, it's one of those things where, don't know why that's giving me an error, but that's fine. So this actually should be style equals color. Let's make it aquamarine to be nice and pretty. All right, so now we see that this is a test shows up there. And if we are in our page here and we wanted to change this, we wanted to say this is a prop like this, then this will go ahead and update there. So I'm going to get rid of that from our layout because we don't need this, but that's just a nice little way to see what that does. And then the other thing that Astro has besides layouts are what they call components. And components are basically reusable chunks. So, and there's other things you can do with islands and reactive components and stuff like that. You can explore that on your own. We're going to get into some of the more sort of back-end type things that we want to play around with. So anyways, the way that this works, though, is, again, same idea. You define these similar to how you would define a layout. But what you do is you just have these sort of be the partial type things. And then when this loads, this will go ahead and, again, it's just like a component, any type of element, right? So, or you use it the same way. So here on this page here, we see that, let me make this a little smaller. We see that you've got you got these cards loading here. So it just says card. Here's the an href title and a body that gets sent in, and then the card itself has the href for the link for the card, the title, and then whatever the body is. So if you're in here and you change this to documentation 123, then this will go ahead and update over here as documentation 123. So again, pretty straightforward how some of this stuff works. So pretty easy for you to kind of build some of these different things. It also supports we should talk about some of the different build modes, but we've got to get it up and running somewhere to actually have it built. But so let's do that. So that's the basics, right? So this is assuming this is just your regular old Astro project. Maybe you've got it running somewhere else. Maybe you don't have a host for it yet or whatever. So what we need to do is we need to install, and this is one of the really cool things about Astro, we need to install an adapter to make it work on Ampt. This is true, if you want it to run on Vercel or on Netlify or where else? Cloudflare, any of these other places, you need to install the adapter, which is pretty straightforward to do. So I'm gonna just open a new file. I didn't want to do that. I am going to close. Why is that not letting me? Exit. Why is that not? Oh. I'm using the wrong command. All right, sorry. So I'm closing out. I'm just going to close down the dev server for now, and we'll do some more with this. But what we need to do is we basically need to install. We want to get this up and running on Ampt. So the first thing that we can do is just take an existing project. You can do this with pretty much any framework as well. So if you've got something that's running Next, or you've got something that's running SvelteKit, or any of the different frameworks that we support. If you go into our docs over here under frameworks, so Next, Nux, Nest, Remix, Astro, 11t, SvelteKit, Angular, and then all these fetch-based ones, all the node-based ones, the front ends, so if you're doing React or Vue, all of those are supported, right? And so you can take any one of those existing projects, you just come into the come into your project here and you just run Ampt, and this will go ahead and basically amplify a project. So we're going to put this in our demo, and we'll call this Astro-demo, like this. So we've now are creating a new app in Ampt that is going to host this application for us. So what this is doing now is this is creating my sandbox, my developer sandbox. So this is an isolated AWS account just for me. None of my team members will use this. It's only for me. And this basically gives me a full parity or production parity workspace in the cloud to do these different things on. Okay, so I just got this URL, lightning stack, whatever it is. If I click on this and open this up, this isn't going to load anything because we haven't installed the adapter. We have to install an adapter to make what we're going to do SSR with this. So there's nothing here, but one of the things that we can see is if we do open, this will open us up into this app that we have running here, Astro demo. Oh, I think I overwrote this. Oh, interesting. So this app already existed. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this environment. Should have named it something different. Okay, so I have my, so this is my sandbox for this particular app. There's nothing installed here. But again, I have full access. If I go in here, I can see all this information about the app itself. I have access to my data, to my storage and tasks and the logs and everything that's happening here. I can go ahead and access this. So this is mapped. This is connecting directly to that AWS account I told you about, completely isolated. So anyways, we'll get into some more of that next. But what we do need to do is when we go to this here, we want this to load this page like this. Okay, so what we need to do first is install the Ampt adapter. So you just do install, and it's at Ampt, oops, spell it right, Ampt/Astro like this. So we'll go ahead and install that Astro adapter for us. Now we just need to go ahead and configure Astro to actually use this. So there is this astro.config file that is here. And then there is this whole thing that is this whole site dedicated to just the configs. There's a lot of things you can do here, but what's really nice is that the adapters do most of the work for you, which is pretty good. So the first thing we have to do is we need to import Ampt from at Ampt/Astro. So we're going to use this here. And then what we want to do is we need to specify integrations, and we will do Ampt like this. Now this is the standard way that integrations work with Astro. So anything you install here, any of the other ones that you might want to use, you would do it this way. Okay, so by default, what this will do is this actually makes it static, right? So the default configuration of an Astro project is for it to be static, and we don't want it to be static. We actually want to be able to generate server-side rendered routes because we want to do something a little bit more interesting. So again, there's a build process with Astro that automatically configures all this stuff based off of the configuration. Works really, really well. But what we need to do is we need to specify the output here. And then the output is going to either be hybrid, server, or static. So you can use any of these with Ampt, so you can decide I want to run just static site, and that might be perfectly fine. And again, if you watched last week or if you go check it out, we launched this very cool feature that allows you to actually just use a webhook to trigger a rebuild. So if you were integrating your Astro site with a content management system or something like that, you have the ability to do that and then just have it re-trigger and rebuild the site whenever you need it to. But we're going to do this with some dynamic stuff because we want it to be a little bit more we want it to be a little more cool, I guess. So we're going to do some other stuff. So we could just do server, but hybrid, if we do hybrid, I really like this mode because this allows us to mix static and dynamic, which means we could generate a bunch of static HTML pages and then use something like another favorite of mine, HTMX, to load partials behind the scenes, which we'll actually show in a minute as well. Okay, so we've done this. We're good right now. I'm going to save this configuration. All right. Now, if I was to run the Astro dev mode, this will go ahead and run just fine. The problem is that, again, we're not connected yet, so we just got to do a few more things to make this work. So first of all, what we want to do is when we run a dev server in Ampt, in order to give you all of that power of the cloud locally, you have to run it within the Ampt context. So the way that we do that is we go into our package.json, and we want to run astro.dev, but we want it to run in the Ampt context. So if we just prefix this with ampt : then this will actually say, okay, now I'm going to run astro.dev, but I'm going to wrap it in the Ampt context, which will give me access and proxies to all of my remote cloud services, which is pretty cool. We don't really need start. That's just a duplication there. And then we want to do the same thing with build. When we build this, we want to make sure that it's built within the Ampt context, so we're just going to add Ampt and build there as well. So that just makes it so we can run it through the CLI and have that within the context. I'll save that there. So now we can go ahead and run, so now we can just run dev, and now this will go ahead and run this network, this dev server for Astro in the Ampt context. So the reason why this is kind of interesting is, let's go back to our local host here, is because now that we're in this mode where we are running in the Ampt context, like I said, you have access now to all of your to your remote environment, to everything that runs in Ampt. So if we go back to this page, we go to the index page. Is really, I do like this. I really like the format that Astro uses, because it gives you like this front matter, but it's front matter, but it's like active front matter. I mean, it's interactive, and you can put JavaScript, whatever you want in here, and do some cool things. So one of the things that we can do is right from here, we can import, let's say, params from at ampt/SDK, like that. Okay, so, and I believe the Ampt SDK is installed. Let's just double check here. It is not, so we need to make sure we install that. So install at ampt/SDK. And the SDK for Ampt, by the way, this is our, if you're not familiar with this, but essentially this is what gives you access to these interfaces. So we have interfaces for HTTP, which you don't need to worry about for this. It's automatically handled by the adapter. But tasks, events, parameters, storage, WebSockets. We also have some other modules for AI, data, some of these other cool things that you can do. Okay, anyways, going back to this. So now we've got that installed. We go back to index here. So I'm just going to close this down because we don't need that. Go to index here, and then what I want to do is when I load this welcome to Astro, let's load, let's put an H2 underneath it, and then let's do, because again, this is the templating language here is very powerful. I think it's JSX. I mean, it works as JSX or like JSX, so it's very similar. But essentially what we want to do here is we want to load, we can just go ahead and call params like this, and we can load a param, and one of the params we could load is ampt_env_name, for example. So I'll save that. So now what that will do is now on our local, of course you won't be able to see it, right? Hold on. Welcome to Astro. Let's see here. Test. See if I'm just not seeing anything. Okay, so that's not loading. Maybe that's not the right environment. Let me try something. Params. Could do params dot list. What did that do? Object, yeah. So okay, I'm just not specifying the right name. So I thought it was an env name, but let's do this. Why don't we loop through it? That'll be fun. We'll do this. We'll do a UL like that, and then in here we'll do I don't know, object dot keys, and we'll get all of the parameters here, and then we'll do dot keys dot what do we want to do, for each? Sure. And then we'll call this a param. Yep. Try it again. For each param. Am I doing this right? Yeah. Yeah. That should work, right? Did that not work? What did I do wrong? Is for each not the right way I want to do this? Hold on. Let me check something. Oh yeah, I guess I could do map. Yeah, well, let's try map, see what that does, because that should work. Map, like this. There we go. Okay, I don't know why for each wasn't working, but whatever. So here are the names of all of those parameters that are loading here, and if I want to actually show the value of that parameter, then I can do params param. Probably want to wrap that here like that, and then I got them all. So now here's my org name, my service name, the app name, the instance name, environment name, the env name. Oh, I guess we don't have the there's not, it's just env name, not Ampt env name. So anyways, you have all this information here that is loading now dynamically. This is local. This is locally running on my machine, but it's reaching out to the remote sandbox and pulling that information down. No Ampt prefix. I was like, so see, this is it. So Emra knows, right? So thank you, Emma. Appreciate that. Yes, there was no Ampt prefix. Anyways, well, we got to loop through and do something a little fun. Anyways, so now we've got this, and this is all right. I'll leave this in place. Now, in order for us to actually see something happen up here, because if we refresh this, nothing's going to happen. So with a framework like Astro, in order for you to actually publish it, in order for you to get it to be visible outside of the dev mode, you do have to run the build command, but that's fine. We've already got the build command set up. So if we just go back here and we run build like this, this will go ahead and run the build within the Astro, within the context of Ampt. And let's see what it said here. 0 warnings, a little hint in there. All right, so this did, yeah, it just didn't like that we said there's a test and then we don't use it. That's fine. But anyway, so this now did a build. Okay, now what this does when it builds is, because we are in this hybrid mode, it's going to create this dist folder. And this dist folder is going to have this entry.js. You don't need to know anything about this. Don't worry about it, but that's how it works. And so again, in order for us to be able to connect, in order for us to be able to access this entry point, we do need to tell the system this is where we want to access our file from. So in order to do that, we can go into our package.json. This is just, again, this is standard, standard node type stuff. I'll add not Ampt, Astro demo. I'll add just a name here. You don't have to, but I'm going to add it anyways. So what we do need to do is we need to specify a main, okay? And the main tells us basically the entry point of our service. And so in this case, this is just going to be dist/entry. Like that. Okay, so that's all we have to do. And now that we've done that, everything should be synced up to the server. If we refresh this now we'll get this, we'll get the Ampt site running, or we'll get the Astro site running. And again, you've got this stuff loading here. So let's see. I guess we don't need to really show that anymore. It's just for fun. So I will go ahead and comment this out for now. And again, so the way that this will work is that if I'm on my local thing here, and I didn't even have to refresh because it refreshes automatically, right? Any change that I make over here, like this. More room. So if I'm here and I change this to, welcome to Astro, I say welcome to Astro on Ampt like this. As soon as I save this, obviously it's going to update my local version because it's the dev server and it's super cool. By the way, another cool thing that Astro has, this is with their version 4. We're running version 4, by the way, so or 4. I think the 4.7 or something like that now, but it has this cool little toolbar, and this just gives you some cool stuff that you can do in here, just to do, debugger. It's got, there's no islands yet, but an audit thing, couple of settings that you can change on and off here that all communicates back with the dev server. It's very cool. This team did a very good job on building this. So anyways, point is that now we've seen that this is updated, but if we go over here, even if we refresh this, this isn't going to update this remote version of it, this sandbox version of it. And that's because every time we do that, we do need to run build. But again, and then refresh this. Oops, wait till it's finished doing, refresh this. There we go. So you do have to run that build process, but again, the experience with Ampt when you're running locally is you've got all of that. You've got all of those local capabilities of the Astro build or the dev server, along with the interaction when you run it within the Ampt context. It goes ahead and gives you all those capabilities to access all those remote things, and we'll do a couple different things with that. As well in a moment. Okay, so the rendering modes, so let's just talk about that for a second, because I do want to show how this stuff works. So bring up the files here. Okay, so when this actually builds, like I said, we have this dist folder that will allow us to do dynamic things, but I want to show you something a little bit, or I'll show you this here. Hold on. So I'm going to change this to, I'm just going to do date.now. All right, so this will just generate a random number for us, or not a random number, the epoch in milliseconds, right? And if I keep refreshing this on my local host, that's going to change. All right, go to our remote version here. We don't see anything happen because we have to build it, which is fine. And again, like I said, you generally would do this very infrequently. You wouldn't have to worry about it. All right, so now I refresh this and I get 331 at the end. If I refresh again, I'm getting 331, 331. Why am I getting that? Because by default, any file you specify is going to be generated as a static file. So if you come over to the static folder over here, we have this index file, which is the file that is being generated by Astro. That is, shows you right here. This is the file. Basically, this is the file that's being generated. And so this gets generated once, but we don't want it to do that. We want it to load live every single time. We want it to do the SSR sort of thing. So what you can do is up here in your front matter section, you just go ahead and export const. And it is pre-render, and then of course, I don't know why it does this, but you want this to be pre-render to be false, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and delete this static folder, so we don't need that. We should probably add something that might delete that automatically for us. So now what we've done is we can go ahead and build this again, like that. And now we should see when it generates this, that it is rearranging server assets, building hybrid endpoints, and we see that there was no static file created. So now that endpoint needs to load dynamically. So now when we're up here on our Lightning stack and we refresh this, now every time we refresh it, we're going to get a different thing. Again, super powerful, very, very cool stuff that you can do with this. Okay, here's another thing that we can do. I like Tailwind. I think Tailwind is amazing. To each his own, whatever. It's totally fine if you don't like Tailwind. We've set up Tailwind on a lot of projects that we've live streamed. Works pretty well. You got to set up a couple configuration files, do some things like that, and then you usually have to go into the excuse me, to the package.json file and add something that's gonna make sure that it's doing your that it's watching them and where it outputs them to. It's kind of a pain. Well, guess what? With Astro, it is insanely easy. So I'm just going to open a new terminal window here so we can keep the Ampt one running. But all you have to do is basically run npx astro add tailwind like that. Okay, and if you go to their documentation, by the way, and you search for Tailwind, it will show you, so you can setting up, oh, that's with typography. Hold on, where's this, the Tailwind? Maybe add integrations over here. I'm gonna make this a little bigger so we can see it. Other integrations, Tailwind right here. So why Tailwind? So all you gotta do is npx astro add Tailwind, like that. That's the auto install, npx astro add Tailwind. I hit enter. This goes ahead and looks at a couple things. It says npm install. Yes, we want to do that. So it installs the dependencies for us, updates everything that it needs to do, and it says it'll generate a minimal tailwind.config file. Yep, we want that, sure. And it says, oh, let me make this a little bigger so we can see it. It says we'll make the following changes to your config file, right? So it's similar to the Ampt, the way we added the Ampt one, this will automatically add the Tailwind one for you. So we'll yes that. And just like that, it supposedly has been added. So I'll close that out. And if we go into this index here, there's a whole bunch of styles and stuff that are there. But if I want to, let's do this. We'll add an H2. Actually, we don't even need to do anything, because if we go and we look at what happened here, we should see that, again, the H1 tags, a couple of things lost some things. But if we go in here, the styles get overridden, right? So let's add an H2. Try that again. H2, and we'll say this is Tailwind. Save that, and we see that our H2 has no styling to it, so now we can just go right in here and do whatever we want and say class. Let's do text 3XL. Let's do text, why don't we make it slate 300 and text, gotta remember the right one, font. I know there's a rhyme and reason why it's font bold and not text bold, but I don't know, seems strange. I save it and immediately we get this here, right? Let's add a little bit of padding to it, so we can do a PB5, save that, instantly updated, all there for us. And then if we go to here, oops, and we do build, oops, like this. This will go ahead and run build everything for us, generates everything that it needs to do. We come up here and then we are built with all of our Tailwind, everything running for us. It is very cool and very slick. So anyways, that's how you add Tailwind, which is kind of insane how easy you can do that. All right. The other thing that is very cool about Astro that you can do with some simple stuff here is you can do HTMX. So, nope, it didn't like that. HTMX. Try this. Okay, so if we want to build partials, okay, so we only built one page. We should probably build another page. Just let's do this quickly. So let's copy this page. We'll paste it again. We'll change this to about like this, and then we can go in here and we can say this is the about page, like that. This. And I'm going to go back to my layout file here and get rid of test. So we don't want that, and we don't want that, like so. And I think we removed it from there, so it should be good, right? So we shouldn't be getting this here. All right, so we have our about. This is a about page. All right, we've got our main. I'm going to remove all of this stuff here. And I'm going to remove, excuse me, going to remove the styles as well. Astro, you can do scope styles, all kinds of stuff. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. It's very cool. All right, so let's do class, and then I'm just going to do BG white like this. And we'll say this is our about page. Okay, so that's all I did is I just added another page like that. And then what this does over here, so again, we're on the local host / about like this, and now we've got this separate about page, which doesn't look very good because it's so small, but that's fine. And then, so that's easy enough. That's basically how you do that. You just create another page. All right, so one of the things that you can do that's interesting with HTMX, again, any partials library that you need, but HTMX is very cool. So essentially, you can create partials that just spit back a little bit of HTML. And the thing that happens with with Astro is by default, if we look at the page source here, it'll spit out this doc type. So pretty much anything you do will get this doc type that'll get spit back. Any type of page you create that is an HTML page. If you want to not spit that back, that's when you have to use this partial thing here. So let's do a couple things. One, let's create a new folder over here, pages, new folder, and we'll call this partials like this, and then we'll create a new file called clicked.astro like that, and then we can do let's see, we'll just say h1 clicked like that, and we'll do class let's see, color, no, that's not how I do that, text / blue 500. Okay, so we've done this, all right, and that is immediately created now. If we go to our local version, if we go to partials / clicked, we now get this clicked here. Now, if we view the source, we'll see it gets this doc type, right? It's spitting back some of this style information that it doesn't need to, but this is all, I think this actually has to all do with, oh, this is sorry, that's all it has to do with the, yeah, with the interactive toolbar thing. Sorry, I don't know, my brain's not working today. Anyways, we don't want it to spit that back. We just want to get the partial. So as the documentation tells us over here, we just have to specify in the front matter that we want this just to be a partial. So we do that, export partial, we save that, come back over here, refresh this, view page source, and now we see that we're just getting this back as a partial. So none of that extra stuff is there. We're just getting that back. Now, of course, it's not styled because we're not in a page that has the style attached to it, but there's a reason why we don't want that. So, okay, so what we want to do, though, is if we go back to the documentation over here, and we say we want to use it with a library. All right, we want to use it with this, with HTMX. So let's go back to our main page here, our main layout, and we are going to paste in that we want to use this HTMX here. And then again, I'm not sure if this is right or the most recent version, but it doesn't matter. We're just using it for testing anyways, so we can go ahead and save that. And then we can go ahead and do this. So let's copy this button that they've got. Actually, let's copy the whole section so we can see it like this. And we'll go back to this about page, and under this about page here, maybe we'll put maybe we should do something like, don't worry about it. I'm just going to put a section here, and then I'm going to do just sorry, it's kind of small. You probably can't see all this, right? I'll move this down. All right, so we'll do a class equals, let's do padding 10, and yeah, that's fine for now. Just sort of see what we get. Okay, come over here, and we want to go back to that about page. And now we've got target here, click me. Obviously it doesn't look very good, so let's go ahead and add a class here where we'll say py5, and then the button, we'll do our standard class of let's see, bg blue 500. I know it's adding a bunch of stuff here, text white, like this. White, bold, rounded. Okay, it just filled a bunch of stuff in for me. Let's see what it looks like. All right, great looking button. Okay, where do we want this to go? Partial / clicked. I hit click me, done. I mean, it's that easy, right? So, and it's very cool, and you can do a bunch of cool things with this. So, all right, there's a whole bunch of things we can do. One of the things that I do want to show that I just think is an amazing, amazing feature of how Astro does this, and it's a nice. If you're building a spa, right? So you're building a single page app with React or Vue or something like that. There's a lot of advantages to that, right? Because you have a lot of stuff stays on the page, right? And you're not updating everything, and you're just doing whatever. But it's just so much JavaScript. It's just, and it's hard to manage. Like imagine being able to just build a site using standard technology, standard HTML, hypertext, right? That's one of the great things about HTMX. but then have it be able to do some of these cool things that you typically see on the spa stuff, like a React app or something like that. So transitions, super cool in Astro, and really, really easy to use, right? So if I think it's actually on the side here, I can find it. So view transitions. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm not going to get into the details of it. All I'm going to tell you is, look, you copy this, all right, this import thing here, and we go into our layout, all right, and then somewhere up here, we are going to import this view transitions into our layout like that. And then if you go over to this, you just have to make sure that it shows in the head. And so we'll just drop this into the head like this. And we now have view transitions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a link here that goes to, or actually I guess I could change this. So I'm just going to change this link right here. This is actually going to go to our About page like that. And I'm just going to say About like this. All right, so now we come over here and let's go back to the home page like this. All right, and now we have this About. When I click this, get that nice little fade, right? And actually I should add a link back. Hold on, let me go to the About page here. That's a little bit small. I'll make it I had a little zoomed in. All right, so here is our About page, and then we'll just do home. Actually, I'll just type an A like this, and then just do slash and home like that. Okay, so now we're back here. We've got this home. We click this, nice little fade. Nice little fade. Now you can get a little bit crazy with these things. They've got a couple of different options. So if we go into the layouts here, and we wanted to go to here, I believe if you type in, I can look it up, but I think it's transitional. I got to look it up. I don't remember these things off the top of my head. That's why I love good documentation. But you can customize it by, let's see if I can find it. Transition, media player. It's in here somewhere. HTML right here. So animate. I think is that what it is? Yeah, animate. Yeah. So look at, let's say we want to make this a slide, for example. We'll copy this, come back over here, and we'll have this as transition animate slide. Save this. Now, when we're on this page here, we click home, slide, slide, slide. I don't know if you're going to want to use that, but I mean, the fade is pretty cool, right? Okay, here's another cool thing. We don't have to have it actually run that on the page itself, right? So here's a cool thing we can do with. Hold on, let me go back here. So, all right, so I'm back here. I run. All right, so now I got my fade working, right? But what if I want this? Why is that not working? Oh, it might not be hydrating the. I think you might need to do something in order to make sure that this becomes interactive again. But anyway, so yeah, I think you do. But let's do this. So I want to see if I remember how to do this. So I want to go into this thing here, and I want to add a transition for this. So I want this to slide, okay? And in order to make that slide, then I need to do, I think it's transition true. I got this written down somewhere. Hold on, let me just double check. Yes, transition true. That's what I thought. Okay, so we do that. We save this, and we come back up here. And now when I click this, how about that? Right. So I mean, again, you can have it a fade. You can have it whatever you want. You can build your own custom transition. So, anyways, I think it's cool. And what else is really cool about the way that the transitions work as well is that if you actually view, if you look at the network requests here. So when you do this transition and you go to About like this, it looks like it does a prefetch. So you do the About like this, and again, you got to do something to rehydrate that. I'm not sure what, but this is making a fetch request, an XHR request instead of doing a full request. So when you have that, so it's pretty cool, and you can opt out pages and you can do some of those other things. Anyways, it's very cool stuff. play around with it. Good stuff. Okay, let's see. What do we got for time? All right, we got about 10 minutes left. So let's just let's do something quick for dynamic endpoints. Let's show how that stuff works. So let's see. Oh, and by the way, yeah. So here's another thing we can do. This page, right? So this page we have as pre-render false. If we wanted this page to be pre-render true or just not have this, then this is another cool way that this works, because now when we build this like this, we'll see that this will build the static pages along with the other pages. So now we've got, oh, by the way, so that's it. So partials, actually, that is generating as a static page anyways. And now we've got the index generating as a static page. And I believe the about, did we have that? Oh, that wasn't displaying any dynamic information. So let's do that quickly so we can see that. We'll just do a date.now like this. And then we'll build this again. All right. And then now in our lightning stack here, we'll refresh. And oops, I don't think this is built yet. There we go. Okay, yeah, completed. All right, so refresh, and now we've got this. We've got our about page. We'll get our little transition there. That click me doesn't work, which is fine. So back to home. So again, so this page here is always going to stay 96 every time we refresh this. 196 because we didn't because we are generating it statically now. And then this page here, when we refresh this, this will be different every single time. So anyway, so just some cool stuff that you can do to mix and match those different pages. Okay, so another feature that we can do here with Astro is to create endpoints. So if we find under, where is it? Under routing, I think somewhere around here. View transition pages, rendering modes. Is it under routing? Oh, right here, endpoints. Okay, endpoints. So you can do static file endpoints, right, which will just generate, again, a static output, and those will generate for you. Or you can do these dynamic ones using params. The other thing you can do is, this was a little confusing because it doesn't quite tell you this, but you can actually create these dynamic routes, again, just by, if you're in the hybrid mode, you do have to specify that you don't want them to pre-render. So let's grab this snippet of code right there. And then let's go here to our, there we go. Why is it? I think I'm clicking strange. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call this API like this. And then we'll create a new file. And we'll call this, let's say, users.json.ts, like this. And then we will paste in this code. And then we need to, I believe, import route. It'll tell me somewhere if we want to type our endpoints API route from Astro. Yeah, so we want to do this. Import from Astro, and then we want to make sure that we specify this as as the API route, like that. API route. That doesn't like it. What did I do wrong? Export. Oh, const get. Export async. What am I doing wrong here? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's just copy. No, I don't want to copy that, though. Do it this way. I don't know. I'm bad at TypeScript and JavaScript a lot of times, too. So, all right. Well, anyway, so this is telling me what a destructured element. Oh, it has an any type. Okay, yeah. So it's just, all right, you know what, let's do this. I'm going to make my life even easier. I'm going to take this, oops, and I'm just going to make this JS instead, because I don't feel like dealing with that right now. So I'm going to make it JS. I'm going to get rid of these types because we don't need them. All right, so now what we have is this user.json.js. And then one of the things that we do need to do is we need to make sure that we we export const pre-render equals false. Okay, so what this will do is this will now, if we build, well, I can show you locally. Well, we can do this locally. So /API/users.json. It's because you have to spell correctly. Users.json. There we go. So now we see this comes back. When you specify that .json at the end, I think you can specify the headers and stuff too if you wanted to not have the .json at the end, but whatever. For the purpose of this, we'll just do that. And then if we build, and actually what we want to do is, let's do this. We'll do time, and we'll do a date.now like this, so that we'll see here that that's always going to be a different number. And then if we were to build this, try this again, build like that, this will go ahead and build. And then while that's doing that, we can jump over here and we can say API/users.json like this. And then we'll get 234, and this number will keep changing for us. Okay, so that's not super exciting, but you can build endpoints like this and then communicate with them. You can use them for whatever you want. But it would be cooler if we could integrate, actual data and server resources with that instead of just doing some simple things. So there is a way that you can do data fetching, right? So it shows somewhere in here. Let's see. I'll just type it in, fetch in Astro. So you can actually just go ahead and do something like this. So we'll go back to our component here and we'll fetch some data here, and then we'll take the random user like this, and we can spit that random user out here. Save that, and then we should see if we refresh this. Now we'll get this random user. And again, if we were to build it, don't know why I keep doing that. Save, come down here, build. Like that, then we can come up to our stack here and refresh as soon as that's done. Bang, 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 sync, done, refresh, and now we get it. Okay, so again, you can fetch data, you can do that kind of stuff, but this is what's really cool about working with Ampt, is that you have all of the tools of Ampt available to you, right? So what if we, instead of fetching this data here, we import, we'll import data from @ampt/data, and we do need to install this, so we'll just install, I gotta slow down, install Ampt data. So we've installed Ampt data like that. Okay, we could save this. All right, and then instead of showing random user, what we want to happen is when you run this get command, we want to get the, well, we'll just call it users. How about that? Users, and it'll be await data.get, and then we're going to use, if you're not familiar with the data features of Ampt, you should check it out. So we're going to just use a collection called users. We're going to bring back all the users, and then we're going to spit back here users, and we'll do users dot items, which will just be the list of all the users. Okay, we do that. We hit clear here, we jump over to this, and we refresh it, and we should get an empty set of users because we haven't created any users. So let's do that, right? So we can go over to this here, and we will create a new file called data.json. We can name this anything we want, but essentially we'll just create an array, and we're going to create a key, and we're going to call that users:123, like that, and then we're going to create a value like this, and this is going to be perfect. John Doe, and we'll do john@doe.com. Like that. What are we missing here? We're missing another, oops, one of those. Okay, so now we've got this user, and then let's add one more user just so that we have this like so. And we'll call this user 1234, and this can be Jane Doe and Jane at doe.com. All right, we saved that. We've got a local file called data.json. If we jump over here and we refresh, we're not going to see anything load because we haven't done anything with that data. But a super handy feature of Ampt is I run import, it pulls that in, I hit refresh, and now I magically have my data. And the very cool thing is that, again, if this was built and we wanted to check this running on the server, as soon as this is done building, we can go ahead, and I say server in the AWS environment. So we come over here, refresh this, and now we'll get those values as well. And of course, this is, one of the cool things here is now I'm in this, for some reason this zoomed in too much. So I'm in my this sandbox here, and this gives me all of this data, so I can actually go in and see this. And if I wanted to make a change here, and it's Jane Doe 123, I click save here. I jump back over. If I can get to it. Jump back over to this here, and I refresh, and immediately I have my updated stuff. So some cool things that you can do there. Okay, so there's all kinds of great stuff that you can do with this. We did the API endpoints. We used data to load some data remotely. Now, the other thing that is really, really cool, again, about running this on Ampt is you have the full power of Ampt, right? So Ampt gives you all those things, tasks and events and stuff like that. So let's say that when you wanted to reply or respond to an event. So somebody does something, maybe they submit some data, or you want to listen to a data event, whatever. Let's just do, actually, yeah, let's do it. No, let's just do an event. We'll just fire an event off. So here's something interesting we can do. So in our main, we can create this again anywhere we want to, but I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this main.js, MJS actually. Okay, and then in here, I'm going to import events from the @ampt/SDK like this, and I'm going to create an events.on, which is a listener, and well, we'll keep it user created for now, but I'm going to go ahead and change this to just EVT. And what we want to do is when this event fires, all we're going to do is just log out to the console. Well, let's say event received. We don't want user.created though. We'll say event.receive like that, comma, EVT. Like, okay. So, and we can call it user, I don't know. I'll just call it whatever. User created, that's fine. All right. So we've created this here now. All right. But if we go and we look at our, Ampt dashboard here and go back to the overview, we'll see that no event listeners are being picked up, because again, the way that Ampt works is it reads in whatever you specify for your program, and it uses that to generate some information, or in order to extract the information it needs, do the runtime introspection and some of those other cool things. So we do need to tell it it's got to look for this main.js file, but we also want Astro's SSR capabilities to work. So what we can do is in this file here, we just need to say import, and we're going to import .dist/entry like this, and then we'll go to our package.json file, and we'll change our main to, what do we call it, main? Yeah, so we'll call it main.mjs like that. Okay, so now what we've done is we've just basically intercepted, before we send you to the Astro entry point, we've intercepted that, and now over here we'll see that we've picked up this event. So now we're listening for an event user.created. So now let's send a or user colon user dot or user colon. What did we do? User colon created. Okay, so let's actually change that to user dot created, and then I'm going to take this name like this. We'll go into that endpoint that we had. Now again, this isn't the best place to actually trigger this, but I'll show you just that you can do that. So now what we want to do is import the SDK here as well into our dynamic route. So we'll do import, and we're going to import our events from Ampt, not event, SDK, like that. And then we're going to go ahead and do we'll await, well actually, we'll log this. We're going to do a log, and in the log we're going to await events.publish, and we're going to publish a user created event. Ooh, I like that. The event itself, we do the event, and the name will be, and again, this you can have anything you want in here, but we'll say the name is Astro like that. Okay, and save that. So now what should happen is when you hit this API route, and these can be posts or deletes or whatever they are, we're going to say, oh, we're going to publish this event that the user was created, and this is the name's going to be Astro. So now when we come over here, so again, we can check here and see that this is now user.created. So let's go to this so that we have this page open there, and we'll close this down there, and we should see all of this happen in real time. So I'll, clear this out there. All right, so now we're going to trigger this route like this. All right, and it says events is not defined. It's because I imported it wrong. Nice job. Okay, let me do that again. Clear. All right, try this again. So now I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. That fired off that, and listen, and we got our event listener running right there as well. And if we want to do this, again, if we want to build this and bring this up to the actual, into our sandbox here, we can do this as well. Clear that, go up to our actual sandbox. I'm going to refresh this, and this should send the event for us, and we get that the event was sent, and then that listener should pick up at some point, and there it is, and now we've received that event. So you can take all of those powers that you have, so data listeners and AI and all these other things, and if you want to schedule tasks, you can run scheduled tasks, you can do all this stuff, and still have Astro go ahead and give you all of those all of that stuff that you can do with Astro, all built in. So anyways, it's incredibly powerful Astro. You couple that with Ampt, and this is all deploying to AWS, by the way, right? So if we did want to, here, let's just do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and type in deploy, and actually I'm going to do a share. I'm going to share this instead, because what's cool about when you do a share is when you do a share from your developer or from the CLI, this will create a new environment for you. You can specify the name of the environment as well, and it'll name the preview environment for you. But this should take, I don't know, 10, 15. Well, actually, it takes a little bit longer. I think maybe 45 seconds, something like that. Sometimes it takes a lot. We're live, so it could take even longer. Who knows? But it's usually about a minute or under a minute, and it will go ahead and actually build an entirely new environment. If we go into our app over here, we will see that we are getting this new preview environment that's being built right now. But what's cool about this is this will actually copy over the data for us. So I'm not sure if it's in here yet, but if I go to data and get all items, yeah, so the data's already been copied over for me. So it's doing all this work in the background. Hopefully this will happen a little bit faster, but this should, as soon as this finishes, this will give us a new URL of our app with our data copied over for us to preview, which is just a really great way for you to kind of snapshot what you're doing, share that with a colleague, make some changes. This is all automated as of CI/CD as well. You can hook this up to CI/CD. All right, so this took a little longer than I thought, but this just created this. So I should be able to open this new thing here, and we've got our build. We click over to our About Us page. This is all working here, great. And then if I was to load my API slash, what do we call it? Users.json like this, then this is going to go ahead and load this data here. And again, this is a different environment, right? So if I do John XYZ, didn't want to do that, and I hit save here. All right, when I go and I load this in this great deploy here and I refresh, now I get John XYZ here. But if I'm back over on my Lightning Stack one, which is my sandbox, you don't see, the data doesn't change here, right? So this is a great way, just completely isolated. I can continue to do what I need to do, share a version of this so that my colleagues can play around with it or a stakeholder can look at it. But anyways, check out Astro, because it is very, very cool. And all of these crazy powers that it has. They also just launched this new DB thing, which should be pretty cool. Also, check out Ampt and how you can use that all with Ampt. We're going to be publishing a guide on some migrations, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But it'll be out soon. There are docs now for using Astro in terms of what you can do, installing the different, the Astro package and setting up your your package.json and how you set up the Astro config. So all of that stuff is there that you can play around with. But yeah, super powerful. Lots of cool stuff. Sign up for Ampt. Give it a try. Use Astro with it. Build some magical things. You know, would love to see the crazy stuff that that you can build. So, anyways, yeah, we will see you next week.